Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, December 22nd, 2021 Litchfield Board of Selectmen meeting. The board has just come out of a paperwork review. I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. First item this evening is the review and approval of consent items. We have an account payroll manifest of December 21st, 2021 in the sum of $77,142.47. We have a payroll manifest of December 23rd, 2021 in the sum of $75,516.43. We have the boat tax agent agreement. We have one land use change tax in the sum of $300. We have the November treasurer's reconciliation. We have a purchase order M2135 McMulton Chevrolet in the sum of $29,785. We have purchase order M21-36 for Chapel Tractor in the sum of $26,780.06. We have purchase order M21-38 for Liberty Chevrolet in the sum of $45,641. And we have purchase order M21-39 Global Public Safety in the sum of $14,370.94. Are there any items members would like to remove from consent?
What's the Liberty Chevrolet?
So Liberty Chevrolet is the police cruiser, Tahoe. And because they weren't able, it was the only one they could find was down there at Liberty. And the Global Public Safety is the fit-up company they use to decal it and put the light bar and stuff on.
And that's what we allotted for that?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to approve the consent items?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Leary,
Second.
second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor? Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0. Is there any other business members would like to add this evening?
Nice job on the parade this weekend. Just
That was
a comment.
great, yeah.
It was good.
Which one?
With Santa.
We had the tractor go through again.
Yep.
Yeah, they were going around again last night.
It's been a
Yep.
lot of
That's
fun.
great.
Come by my house.
It's been great.
It's been a lot of fun.
He came all the way down to the south end last night.
He's put a lot of miles on that tractor.
And I'm sure he's burned a lot of fuel, so.
Yeah, but he's going to be enjoying it again this spring when he goes out and plows all the fields again. That's what he loves to do.
Public input will occur no earlier than 6:45 p.m. The first item of business is the December 13, 2021 minutes. Has everybody had a chance to review? And do we have any corrections or comments?
Make a motion to approve?
We have a motion by Mr. Leary,
Second.
second by Mr. LaSalle's. All those in favor? Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0-0.
Thought I was left hanging.
The next item we have is the fire engine warrant article discussion. Do we want to
We want to wait
we'll
for
wait
Frank.
for the fire chief?
So he's at or in transit from the Hudson booster clinic. So he's been over there
Okay,
working out, giving out shots.
so we can
So he
postpone
asked
that.
if he didn't get here on time, and we could defer and go on.
Of course. So we will skip that for the time being, and we'll move to the 2021 year-end budget projections.
So
Mr.
the fire
Byrne.
truck is off?
We're
I was thinking the same thing.
I said I was going to keep my mouth shut.
So the 2021 budget projections, we talked about this at our last meeting, and we said, as we get closer to the end of the year, we'll have a better comfort level of where we're going to end up. Did have a storm over the weekend, and we still got some activity coming in. Looks like Christmas Day, so talking to Kevin, Road Agent Brown, just that snow event on over the weekend was about $5,000-6,000, and we're ordering more salt. But we've tried to account for the salt that he is ordering and the cost of the storm this weekend and the Christmas storm. we think that we're going to be having a balance of about $60,000 of unexpended funds.
Nice.
And that puts you right in there. Pretty good for, a $7.5 million budget.
Mhm.
So,
Good job by all.
and nothing really changed. That the notable items that unexpended whereas in our legal department, we just didn't use the legal services that we anticipated. Personnel, a lot of that is the payroll taxes and benefits associated with our payroll. And in the police department, we had a lot of turnover and vacancies. So that, we didn't pay out the salary costs that we thought we would. And that goes for police department. There are, some lines there because of the staff shortages. Hydrants, because of the at the time that we put together the budget, we weren't fully aware of what the specifics of the rate setting would have. So our estimate was higher than what our actual expense will be. And as we know, for the debt, the only reason the debt is coming in lower than budgeted is because we end up using impact fees to pay that. So some of the overages, gasoline, we have one line that covers all the regular fuel for all vehicles throughout all departments. And really, we totally blew that estimate, guessing that gas was going to be at $2.50 a gallon. I think back in March when they approved our budget, we were at $3 and we never stopped. So building maintenance, we had a lot of issues, but one of the things that we did do, and we didn't want to, we held off not using one of our capital reserve funds, and that was to cover the cost of the old town hall roof project.
Yep.
So that, was not budgeted for. We overexpended that line. Didn't want to use the capital reserve fund. Streetlights were funded, the conversion cost. So that was the 50% deposit. We'll talk about an encumbrance later for the remaining 50%. And solid waste, right now we won't know until probably February, into January, but with some of the budget committee's cuts and still activity related to COVID, it looks like it's possible our disposal costs will exceed the budget. So, but bottom line, with those adjustments of the overages and the underage, about $60,000 unexpended. So tighter this year than normal.
Yep.
But still a real good job by all the departments. No
Right.
actions required on the
Yeah.
board. I just that you need to know where we're projecting you to end up year end before we talk about encumbrances. So that's why we cover that. Did Frank come in?
Yep, Frank's here. Do you want
Probably
to
if we do encumbrances next, and then we could go back to the.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Since we're already
Take
talking
any
about
questions you
projections.
have with the projections.
I wonder what the wholesale price of gasoline is right now.
Well, I know the last bill I just saw in this batch, I believe we just right around $3. I saw a $3.12. So
The reason I ask, is anybody else a member of Sam's Club?
That's where I get all my gas now.
Yep.
It is really inexpensive.
yeah.
$2
93 cents, I think I paid
Really?
yesterday.
$2.93.
Yep.
And that's retail
I know.
at the pump.
I know.
I mean, that's the reason I ask. What's the wholesale price?
Yeah. So we have a wholesale price, but there's a markup. We don't pay taxes. I think the thing that's driving our costs is that we have a delivery every week, and so we have the delivery charge. We don't have the tank
Large
capacity
storage.
to really, if we could store 5,000 gallons of fuel, I think we could see a reduction in our costs. But
Sam's must be making almost nothing.
I think they do it to pull people into the store because if they go to the gas pump, they're most likely going to go into the store.
And there's always a big line.
Oh, you have to go first thing in the morning or you wait a long time.
and it works because my wife.
So maybe that's a lost leader for
It could be just to get the people through the
because BJ's is not that low.
no.
$3.13 I paid today.
At BJ's.
313.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at BJ's.
Still
yeah.
20 cents.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll get all the town vehicles down to Sam's Club. now.
Yeah, but you know what?
School buses.
Same thing would happen to my wife does, so the department heads would be in there buying, goodies.
All right, you want to move on to encumbrances?
Put this thing up here. So there's three categories. We have 2022 new encumbrances. So these are items that we're aware of that you pretty much have acted on this year, but we have not been able to finish the transaction, and we won't finish the transaction by the time we close the books. So that requires the board to officially be on record to encumber those funds. We have re-encumbrances, which were items that were encumbered last year, but for whatever reason, we were not able to finish the project, and those funds are under contract. And then for the record, we listed non-lapsing articles. We just wanted it for the record that the warrant article number 10 for Penachuk, the rate case, legal defense, that article was a non-lapsing fund. So those funds do not lapse and go to the unassigned fund balance. They will be around for, I think, another couple of years before they will go, the unexpended balance will go back to the unassigned fund balance. So going back to new encumbrances, as you just acted on some of the purchase orders, we have the police department, the police cruiser at $45,641. The police department, the police cruiser equipment at $14,370.94. The fire department command vehicle and the equipment fit up at $43,500. I had a little note there that $35,892 is the actual vehicle cost. The difference is the fit up. Streetlights conversion, $10,901.29. So that's the balance of the cost. You know, we paid a 50% deposit. That's the balance remaining.
Do we
And
know when they're going to start?
they have done their, I think you'll hear from them the first of the year, because I know they've been out in the community doing the inventory.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually didn't find, they found a few things, but they didn't find, you know, a lot of missing lights and that kind of stuff. So,
Okay, good.
So nothing major.
Except
yeah,
for the
a
one
lot of
year-
times they can discover 10 streetlights missing or not, you know,
Troy, did they
10
fix
more
the-
that you had, you didn't know. And, you know,
Did they fix the one out here?
yeah, they did.
You did? It's on tonight when I came in?
Was it on? I don't know. I got an email back. Yeah.
Do you know if the school added any, or are they participating?
They had, you know, I don't know when they did. I reached out to the school. They were interested, and I think I don't know if when they were in the community doing their survey, but when they're back finalizing thing, I'll mention to them. I know those are going to be parking lot lights, so that's an easy.
I thought they were talking about a project. with
Yeah.
lights.
Well, there's
So we'll make
a
sure.
couple of really dark spots
Is there?
at Campbell,
Okay.
outside the gymnasium, where people walk like out of ball games and so forth, or standing out there for election. I guess it's spring. Once it gets dark, it gets very dark, and they could use some extra lights.
All right. And so the only item remaining in the 2022 encumbrance, it was actually 2021, was the painting of the old town hall. We know that we were able to get the project started. Work continues. We'll continue in the spring. So that the balance of that is $20,000. And like I said, I already covered the non-lapsing. So, you know, I don't think there's any surprises here. You've actually acted on these items probably at least 3 times already.
How long can we encumber something?
Really, it should be for the next 12 months. There's no written rule, but you know, you need to have documentation, some kind of justification of why something's re-encumbered for a couple of years. It shouldn't happen. You should have, everything should be under contract and you know, just you weren't able to complete the transaction. And so there's no reason why it shouldn't be done in the next 12 months.
Weather.
But you know, it happens.
Mhm.
It happens to us all the time.
Weather.
Weather.
Paint does not allow rain to hit it.
The damn painter.
sometimes certain contractors are
What a
hard to work
deadbeat
with.
that guy
Yeah.
was.
Some contractors are hard to work with. You got to stay on top of them.
Yeah.
What a deadbeat.
It's all about rain.
You guys are all getting coal in your stockings.
Okay, thank you. So you want to loop back now to the fire engine warrant article discussion?
Do you want
Do
to
we have
make a
to-
motion to approve the
Sure.
encumbrances as presented?
So move.
Motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mr. Lynch. All those in favor, Mr. Leary.
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Mr. Lynch.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Okay, now we'll loop back to the fire engine warrant article discussion. Mr. Brown and Chief Freitzel.
Okay, so I guess this is here before you because when I was at the budget committee meeting and talking about the warrant article that the board approved, there were some questions and some discussion with the budget committee that didn't indicate either way, that they disagreed with the article or that they were looking for maybe other options. But some of their questions generated discussion about when would the truck, be available in service in our town. And that had a direct relation to when our first payment for the truck would occur. And, never really had much thought when we put together the article. We were more, I know I was concerned with making sure that the article was straightforward. We asked the question, we're not trying to hide anything from anyone. There's going to be a tax impact. I didn't want to open up that can of worms. We've heard that, for the last 3-4 years that the Board of Selectmen is always trying to work around the tax cap. But in this case, listening to the discussion, again, not a recommendation of the Budget Committee, but just walking away from that meeting, realizing that I think that we all should have a conversation again about really, do we want to tax the taxpayers for something that they're not going to have? You want to pay in your tax bill for a fire engine that can't respond to your house or your neighbor's house if it's on fire. So I think there's some real merit in discussing having the first payment deferred for 1 year from approval, of the taxpayers. That puts you somewhere in the time frame of when maybe this truck would be delivered. The truck's going to take, the chief will tell you, somewhere between a year to 500 days, if everything goes well, before it's actually in your town and in service. So another discussion we had was, structuring the leasing for 7 years. And we had some discussion about the age of the fleet, saying, well, 7 years, it's going to take us 7 years to pay this truck off. And then you have your other trucks that are aging and, we're going to get hit with another lease payment before the first one's paid off. So I kind of went back and thought about that. And I'm like, listening to the deputy chief where he talked about in previous years where the town had a program that was working really well, and they had a 5-year lease program. So every 5 years, a truck would be paid off and another truck would be financed, and they just always constantly had this sort of lease payment for a new fire engine. Mm-hmm. And it took them over 20, 25 years of leasing, 5-year increments of trying to refresh the fleet. So listening to the age of our current fleet, I think the board should really take a look at considering a 5-year lease versus a 7-year lease. So there's two issues, the length of the financing
When you want to start it.
and when do you want to start? Do you want to tax people for something they're not going to have? Or do you want to wait a year and tax them? And two, do you want to finance it for 7 years, knowing that it's very likely, or the best financial management would be that if we can get ourselves back on that 5-year lease program. So with that, I think Chief Freitzel can, I've talked to him. He's in agreement with this approach. And he's been working directly with the fire committee and the fire truck companies that would, construct this. And there's just a lot of moving parts this year with the COVID and the supply chain,
Supply chain
and the
stuff.
financing. And I will tell you, we had a conversation this morning with the company that we use to lease purchase the financing. And, he was trying to deliver a message. He doesn't have a crystal ball, but he was saying that for this type of purchase, this dollar amount, he goes, the timing couldn't be better for interest rates. The question is, how quickly can you get it approved, and how quickly can you get the truck under contract to lock in the price? Because what his fear was that, within 6 months, you're going to see interest rates going up and the price of this type of equipment going up. So you'll be seeing increases on both ends.
So if we chose to not pay till 2023, they will lock a rate in now with us.
Yeah, and the chief can explain that to you, but that
Chief,
is.
come on up and join us. Good evening.
Evening. So to Troy's point, we're looking at between 400 and 510 days, no matter which manufacturer we pick to replace engine 2. So when you really look at it and look out, we're really talking 7 years from now. If we go with a 5-year bond in 2022, it's really going to be 6 years from now if we go in the arrears, because the first payment would be 2023. Reality is, we're not going to see the truck before the first payment, no matter which way we do it. It just 400 and 500 days is well over a year. So, by prepaying it, meaning no matter which way we go, we get a discount for paying early. And depending upon which manufacturer, right now, the one we've been working with has given us $15,000. Talking with the leasing company today, some of the other companies don't do that at all. Some may give around the same. So Troy's numbers are based on one particular company that was able to give us the number to bring forward. It may not be the company we ultimately go with. We'll have that determination here in the next month or so. This particular company will offer us a 90-day lock. So by the middle of January, we will have a price good through April 1st. That price is the locked-in price. So provided we sign an order, not the final commitment on the truck, but an order to start the process, that price is locked. It may take us 2 months to do the pre-build and the final designs and so forth. But we're protected from any increase between whether it's March 13th or April 1st that we sign the agreement until we sign the final contract, which probably will be sometime June timeframe. They're looking at between 30 and 60 days to get us in to sit down, have the pre-build conference, go over everything, finalize everything, and then truly sign that dotted line for what will be the ultimately the final truck. But we lock that price. If once we sign the agreement to purchase, we lock that pricing in.
Okay.
May not be the exact price. It may come down a little bit. It may, depending upon what the final bells and whistles, if you will, are, but no across the board price increase will impact us. So that being said, if we did the lease purchase agreement, and we had talked about June, July of 2022, with first payment in June, July, 1 year later from the date of the lease, we're not going to have that truck. That's just in pre-COVID world, we'd be seeing the truck right around that time frame, give or take a week or 30 days. But that's not the case here. They're happy to defer it up to 18 months, I think he'd kind of indicated, but we're going to pay the interest if we don't make the payment. We're just stacking up interest. So, so we're really, when we talk about it from even from June of 2022, a 5-year lease purchase paying in arrears, the first payment's not till 23, which means the final 5-year payment is not until 28. So that's really almost 7 years from now. And you've got all the information on the ages of the fleet and the next truck. You know, we're going to be looking at, you know, the next truck is going to be 30 years plus old at that 7-year point. So, I think Troy and I are in agreement that a 5-year payment in arrears, meaning we don't make the first payment. So there's at least, we're not paying for it, first payment this year, in 2022, second payment in 2023, and we haven't seen this truck yet.
Yeah. So the first, if we did the arrears, you're saying the first payment would be June, July 2023.
1 year from when we sign the,
Okay.
you know, which is really dependent upon when we sign the final contract with the vendor next spring, late spring, early summer.
But the truck would be arriving, you know, in 2023. So
Mhm.
at least
Late.
when you make the payment in 2023, the truck is coming pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, I equate it back to our personal lives. I mean, we never pay for something until we take receipt of it. You know, why are you going to go and spend money for something you have no use of? So, I mean, to me, it makes sense to go with option one, paying in arrears. Because why tax the taxpayer on something they're not going to be able to utilize?
It makes you wonder how they can do that though, because the price is locked in, right?
So the price is locked in once we sign the agreement to purchase.
So even though we don't start paying for it, the price is locked in.
Mhm.
And that would include an interest rate.
Well, I think what will happen is when you, so say if we did a 5-year lease payment with that in arrears, so the first payment is 2023. And this includes a discount, what do you call that?
Prepayment discount.
Prepaid discount. So when if the article's approved, we sit down in June or July of 2022, finalize everything with the fire truck company and the leasing company. The leasing company will take over and pay the fire truck company 100% up front. We get the $15,000 prepaid discount. We do pay interest for another 12 months in interest, the full length loan, but that's what happens.
The only problem I have is that interest rates are going to go up. Do we have a risk? Let's say interest rates right now, they're what? 2-3%, something like that.
Right, they're quoting us right
2.59
now,
right now.
2.59,
Okay.
2.6.
All right. Well, what if we go back to Jimmy Carter days? All right. Which is not terribly out of the question.
Mhm.
So how would that impact us?
I think that between, you know, I don't have a crystal ball, but very hopeful that between now and in June or July of 2022, you know, hopefully the interest rates don't change drastically and we lock it in. So hopefully we can lock this thing in for 3% or less.
Even though we're not going to be paying for it.
Even though we're not paying for it, it'll be a fixed locked interest
that's-
rate for the life of the lease.
It's almost like a mortgage, though.
It's a mortgage, just
You
like,
can lock in for 80 days, 100
But
days.
there's a risk there. Somebody's taking a risk.
Someone's taking a huge risk. And also they're taking a risk with what's happening to the supply chain right now. I mean, the cost of the raw material to build a fire truck could go sky high by the time they actually go to produce it.
And that's where we were given the estimate between 2 weeks ago when the deputy was here and April 1st. Their best estimate is a $23,000 increase in the truck.
Mhm.
So that we factored that in, and that's why we're working with them to lock in a 90-day quote in January.
Yep. So you have the numbers.
So we have an exact number, amend the warrant article at deliberative with the exact number that it will be up good till April 1st. And then, Rick, to your point, once we talked about that with the leasing company, he didn't know if the vendor would do it, but the other option is to pay on delivery. That's 400 to 500 days from now. That's an even bigger wild card on what the interest rates are going to be then.
Yeah.
And we're not even certain that we can legally enter into a contract for such an expense without guarantee of the ability to pay for it. So,
I just want to make sure that we're not paying a premium to take into consideration that risk. I would be more in favor of paying, even if it is a year early, as long as we don't take, aren't put up with that risk. Because I think interest rates are going to go up significantly.
I think as
So-
long as we can lock in
Yeah,
with
I
an
don't-
interest rate and it's not going to move on us,
Right.
I'm comfortable.
we're going to lock the rate in June or July of 2022. Whether we make the first payment in June or July of 22, or we make the first payment in June, July of 2023, I think there was a percentage point difference.
Yeah, it looks like 2.59 for 2023 and 2.54 for 2022.
Yeah, so not even
Half a percent.
Oh, so there is a half
Half a
a
percent.
percent.
Yeah, depending on when you make your first payment.
But that's also $20,000 difference paying
About 20 grand.
which I would be in favor of option 2, like what Rich said. It saves the taxpayers $20,000 in the long run.
And do people really care if you're paying for it early? I mean,
Maybe we get it sooner. And it all depends on the voters in March too.
I think it's
So
just,
either way,
Yeah.
whether we do first payment on lease signing or first payment delayed a year, the truck is, with this leasing company, the truck is going to be paid for right then and there. And that's how we're getting the $15,000 prepayment
but
discount.
there is a $20,000 additional charge.
Well, that's your deferring your,
Yeah.
Deferring your interest.
essentially
yes.
an interest for a year, correct?
Yeah.
Because the time value of money there is,
Mhm.
We just wanted to give options because it's such an extended build time that, we wanted to be sensitive to that and transparent with that and give the board some options to look at. Board and Budget Committee.
I have a few thoughts, I guess. I'll put it that way. And first of all, when I had coffee with the chief a couple of months ago, I told him it was time to put this to the voters. We sat on it for 2 years and pushed it back and whatever. The tax impact, either way, it's going to blow the tax cap. Is this something that maybe we ask for a one-time exemption from the voters? Because otherwise, we're looking at about $25,000 that we have to spend as a town, which basically would be eaten up by everybody's annual salary increases. Or do we really roll into the unexpended fund balances, which we did the first year after the towers?
Mhm.
We dug deep into that. You said 400 or 500 days to delivery, so that was one of my questions. So you would expect it
4 to
late
500 days.
so late 23, early 24,
Fourth quarter.
something like that?
I'm thinking right around this time, 2023, maybe January, February 24.
Yeah.
It really depends upon how quick we can get what we need to get done with, and it's not how quick we can do it, it's how quick they can process.
And what
through
happens
their-
to the supply chain during the time they go to
Well,
manufacture?
it's really
There's-
more how fast they can process it through their design folks and so forth, secure product and ensure us that, it's essentially with this particular, the company we're using, right now that has met all the criteria of the RFP, they're telling us 507 days from the final contract signing. So not from April 1st, could be June 15th.
Yeah,
could be
whenever you
July
get through the whole
15th.
design process.
So 507 days as of right now. Does that get better as things go? Maybe. We can only hope. Could it be a little longer? Potentially.
Well, you get your design done before the election, so the day after,
That's
you
it, we
can go in
can't-
if it
So
passes.
we're going to have a conceptual. We can't go into the design phase until we
Mhm.
basically give them
Mhm.
a,
Okay.
purchase and sale, if you will. We have to sign an agreement to purchase, then they'll do the full blown
Now, leave
design.
me a question. Do you know what you want?
the committee has, and they're working between 3 vendors.
Yep.
As Doug mentioned, the last time he was here, they're just trying to make sure everything is equal and so forth. This particular company has been able to put, documentation forward before either of the other 2. So this is what we have to work with right now. So,
And this is the fire truck, not the tanker, right? We took the
it's a
tanker.
fire
out.
engine.
The fire
Fire
engine.
engine.
Yes.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, hydrants this year, we don't.
And the last thing was something I mentioned when Doug was here earlier, that after this truck, if it passes, after the truck is paid off and runs the 5 years, that money come off the books, and any other new truck has to be approved by the voters as well.
Correct.
People have said once you've got this in the budget, you just keep rolling in and rolling into a new vehicle. This is too big a deal.
Too big. We have to vote every single time. We have to
People
bring
would
it to
have be
them.
Voted,
Yeah.
voted in.
So
Okay.
when I make that comment, I only mean that in a year that we're putting together the budget, the 149,000, whatever the payment is, lease payment is going away.
Mhm.
And now you have a new warrant question saying, would you like to lease purchase a new engine? So it would still require a town vote.
Yeah, it sounds good.
It doesn't automatically give an open checkbook to go buy fire trucks for the next 25
Well,
years.
see, that's how somebody put it to me.
No, absolutely not. No.
You'd be surprised who said
It'd be
that.
too easy.
You'd be very
Too
surprised.
easy.
You'd be very surprised. Who
No,
said
We
that.
wouldn't be in
We'd be
this
going through the
position
same
right now.
process.
We'd have nice new
Right.
trucks.
Because you have to build the trust with the voters.
Each time it has to come back and stop the process.
Sure.
So,
Do all these trucks come with a full tank of water?
how about a full tank of gas?
Yes, now, yeah.
The gas is probably worth more than the water.
Yes. No, they usually come in empty, but we don't have to. I don't want to get down into the snake hole, but we don't pay to fill them.
What if there was a
Who pays?
delay?
Who does pay? The
We are
taxpayers?
not charged to fill the trucks off of.
Oh,
hydrant.
really? Off a Penachuk?
And in fact, we have the ability to top them off
With no
within the new station without any charge.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's one good thing about
In
Penachuk.
the old station, they have to pay the water fee when they use water. Well, water there neither.
Oh, really?
Panachuk was kind.
Very nice.
So I want to think positively, but what if there actually was a delay in the delivery of the truck
Oh,
from
God.
somebody who's trying to build a winery? That time is doubled,
Two totally
maybe
separate
tripled.
things.
No, but I'm just saying, say it's no fault of anybody here, but say it's 6 months later. I mean, what's the attitude of the people you think it's going to be?
We have to go in good faith with what they're telling us, and the fact that it wouldn't just be us, it would be, every fire department across the country and beyond. Where, and I don't want to use the term knock on wood, but because things are going great, and then, we have trucks go down and we have another truck go down, and I think it was just the night Doug was with the budget committee, or there was your last meeting anyway. I think I told Troy the day after, might have been discussing it, and we were down 2 trucks. We had one go down over the weekend, and we had one go down at a mutual aid fire in Bedford. So kind of out of the norm, but not uncommon with an aging fleet.
Just get them fixed.
Yeah, get them fixed and, Band-Aid them back up. We're not so desperate now that really concerns me. I mean, we just put another Band-Aid on, or a bigger Band-Aid if we have to get us, to limp us by till the truck comes in. But, I've never in almost 40 years seen it take this long, but to Troy's point,
Oh, yeah,
I don't have a
it's
glass
beyond
ball
anybody's
either,
control on the roof.
but
So you're expecting 2023, at the end of 2023 at best. So if it starts showing up in 2024, I'm just trying to think of, how the,
Well, if
Voters
you
are gonna
need to,
feel-
Kim, the old farmers used to irrigate from your property. So you can just run the line back down there. That's grandfather, isn't it, Kevin?
It's
It used to
vested.
be- Yep. So you
Really?
can you can pump from the river legally.
You can always pump from the river. There's nothing against that at all.
we need a
and when
truck.
this comes in, we'll give you a great deal.
And the other thing too, if you want to be nice to the fire department, run a line up to the road and put a hydrant there, and they'll be happy.
Isn't
Isn't there one there?
Yeah.
There's gotta be
Across
one
the
there.
street.
There's too many now.
Does my water bill go down?
No, trust me.
No, it's all-
Now with penetrate.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I like option 2 myself. I say pay for it, get it over with, just like we did with the towers. Just get it done.
Yeah, I do like 5 years, much better than 7 years.
I like the idea of 5. Option 2 makes sense. In the long run, you save more.
It's gonna save the
Save
town
20,000.
20,000.
Yeah.
And option 2, in theory, Bob, getting back to your question, asking the citizens to, I guess, override the tax cap.
Mhm.
If you pose the question to them that you're going to, pay this in advance, then you're disclosing a tax impact, and it's going to exceed the tax cap.
Mhm.
So the budget committee won't be able to support it.
Mhm.
So if it's approved by the voters, they basically, by their vote, they approve
Over the tax
overexpending
cap.
the tax cap.
Yeah.
And I think that's how the tax cap's structured, so that voters can always
Yeah.
Rule
choose
that.
to overrule the tax cap. The budget committee's got to put the budget together that meets the tax cap.
That's correct.
Okay.
Be great if we have to pay years of interest, huh?
Yeah.
For that first year, never pay for it.
Probably cut down on the tax cap.
Yeah. So it's,
Well, there's pros and
Cons
cons.
each side of it.
You know, and that's why, we felt it best to put
Yeah.
the options out, be fully, transparent and.
Yeah, I hate paying for something until I have it, but 20 grand's a lot of money.
I agree.
I think one of the best catches we made was it was financially proposing a 7-year lease purchase was not the right decision for this
Mhm.
town, given the current
Yeah.
age of the fleet. That would have been a bad decision.
Well, it was a good starting point.
Let's see if we can get the next one to start right.
All right.
Next.
All right,
Well,
so
so
we
you wanna
gotta,
take-
we have to,
You
Well,
wanna
great
take a-
job, Sadie, by the way, on the parade.
Thank you.
yeah, that was good.
I didn't see it.
Credit.
right-
We went by?
so we need
No,
to
we
make a-
didn't go by.
No,
Sorry,
you
we
don't go
started
by
doing-
our house
we
anymore.
Started at Jim Hassan on South, that's right.
See, Litchfield in the middle is gone.
What do you mean? I'm in the middle.
Not by my house.
So we need to make a motion to move it, right? To change it the way it's written.
To if the board wants to go with, well, right now it's currently a 7-year lease, payments in advance. So the question was, do you want to stay with current proposed warrant article? Option 1 would be changing to a 5-year lease with payments in arrear, or option 2, a 5-year lease payment in advance. In advance would allow the voters to vote to exceed the tax cap
Mhm.
and save $20,000 in financing costs, about.
I make a motion, we approve option 2.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's.
I'll second it.
We have a second by Mr. Leary. We have any further discussion? All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Chief. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
You got any booster shots? Don't go there.
I was at the Hudson Clinic and we were just looking for a couple of folks to give them to. So
I'm all
we
set.
covered everybody last week, so
You did well.
we did 430 doses last Wednesday.
You did good.
Wow,
Double what we were.
that's good. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
My mother was happy.
Yeah, we were able to get as you probably all heard, the code red message out, and that filled the parking lot very quickly.
It sure did.
We were on Channel 9.
Well, we didn't know they had done that, so as soon as we realized they did that, we figured we're getting the word out locally. and-
But they weren't on. I don't think they did it until 6 o'clock.
We had another
I know they
hour.
were there at 5, and then we
So-
did an interview with them for 6. The
Maybe
head
an
of the
hour.
company that the state had contracted with. I don't know what aired because we were still there, but I know by shortly within 15, 20 minutes of us putting the the code red message out. The parking lot filled up, and the detail officer that was in the parking lot was calling for help to park cars and so forth. So it went very smoothly, and considering we had kind of planned a party for 230 and we did 430, things went well. So, but we just did second doses for our 5 and above for the school district in conjunction with Hudson.
Good.
So we just did in 3 hours 407 doses, give or take. So and,
Beautiful.
we had 1 or 2 left over, so it was the last minute. You know anybody? You know anybody? So, but
I'm still working a 4-year-old. I'm trying to get a shot for.
so anyway, thank you all. Happy holidays.
Thank you.
You too, Frank.
You
Be
too.
well.
Merry
Take care. Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Stay out of snow.
So next we have the 2022 holiday schedule. Mr.
Get it
Brown.
all done?
Almost. So the reason that this comes forward to the Board of Selectmen is that in your personnel policy, the
Yes.
employee handbook, it doesn't specifically identify the holidays. In your union contract, we do, and in some employee contracts. But each year at this time, the Board of Selectmen establishes the holidays for the following year. No changes to the last. This has been the way it's been for the last 3 years.
Good.
So we've laid it out for you. Hopefully we got the dates right.
One
If
question.
we got it wrong, I'm sure the staff will tell us.
One question.
Yes.
You're going to work on January 1st?
Could be a Saturday.
That was in last year's. Oh, so 2021's holidays.
So the 31st you're taking off.
Yes.
Okay, what about next year?
So that must fall into,
That would be a Monday.
On New Year's Day next year, I think it's gonna be a
Well, it'd be
Monday.
And so it
Sunday
would be a
next year, so
Monday.
It'll be in the next year, but it'll be in the same as
Yeah.
a Christmas.
Your
If a holiday
question-
falls on a Sunday, we recognize it on the Monday. If it falls on a Saturday, it's recognized on Friday.
Friday.
Then you have Monday, the 17th open, and then clerk and tax closed.
So
Town hall is open, but
So on Civil Rights Day,
Yeah.
what happened was the staff got together along with the town clerk's office about 3 years ago. And we came to the board and we asked if we could have Columbus Day as a paid holiday instead of Civil Rights Day.
Mhm.
And the board agreed to that. But the problem the clerk's office ran into was that the state is closed on Civil Rights Day. And so they can't access the computer system to register cars. So what they agreed, because they wanted to be able to have the Columbus Day, is that they would close on Civil Rights Day, but they use their earned time. So, and then all the rest of us come to work on Civil Rights Day.
Okay.
It's the way it's been done for 3 years. It's worked out really good.
Yep. Okay, do we have a motion to approve as presented?
So move.
Motion by Mr. LaSalle's,
Second.
second by Mr. Lynch. Any further discussion?
I work most of these holidays.
All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500.
See that? Treat your people better than you treat yourself.
Next we have is the 2022 mileage rates. Mr. Brown?
Ooh, this ought to be
And
good.
again, board always votes to establish the rate. We have always gone with the whatever the IRS standard rate is. So effective January 1st, 2022, it will increase 2.5 cents per mile to 58.5 cents.
Not an
Wow.
issue. Price of gas.
Price of a stamp.
Yeah.
Price of a stamp. Well put.
Close.
So it's 58 cents a mile. What's the 18 cents for medical? I don't understand that.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
if you were personally, maybe
Workers' comp would pay.
Oh, they pay
If you were
The
on work.
difference?
No, so if you were, so it's just not for, it's for other uses as well,
Uh-huh.
the IRS rates. So if you were on workers' comp and you had to go to a doctor's appointment, they'd pay you mileage to go to that doctor's appointment. And that would be at the 18 cents, not us.
Lucky.
I don't plan on going to workers' comp.
Do we have a motion to approve at the IRS rate?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Larry,
Second.
second by Ms. Queenan. All those in favor, Mr. Larry?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
Aye.
Ms. Queenan?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 500. Next, we have Health Officer nomination, Jeffrey Blackwell. Mr. Brown.
Yeah, and I guess I probably didn't put on there the deputies as well. So I just wanted to point out to the board that currently right now, our health officer's term expired today, 12/22/21, and that is Deputy Chief Nickel. Steve Doobie is a deputy health officer. His term expires January 28th, 2022. And Paul Kelly is a deputy health officer, and we just learned that his term expired in August of 21. So, and obviously, we also had another deputy inspector, Inspector Dion, who passed last year. So we used to have 3 deputies and 1 health officer. So recommending to you this evening is that Jeffrey Blackwell, who is our building inspector and code enforcement officer, go back to being the health officer, and that his term, it's a 3-year, it's a nomination. We're not actually making an appointment this evening. We're recommending and we're nominating to the Department of Health and Human Services. They will actually make the appointment. So we're recommending that we nominate Jeffrey Blackwell as health officer with a 3-year term, which would expire in December 31st, 2024. Steve Doobie as the deputy health officer, and Paul Kelly as a deputy health officer. Both those employees, Mr. Doobie is, both of these are firefighters. Mr. Doobie is currently the health officer in the town of Hudson. It's a full-time job with other inspection duties. And Paul, so he brings a lot of the health, part of it to the table to help Jeffrey as he's, taking on the lead responsibility here. And Paul Kelly brings more of the medical background because he's a paramedic. And so it's a really good fit to have that support as deputies, the 3 of them all together working. And they've already started communicating. I know that Mr. Blackwell is, working with Mr. Doobie and Mr. Kelly.
Mr. Chair, be honest with you, I think we got too many deputies. Be honest with you, okay? The job does not get into the medical side of it as a health official very, very much, if ever. In my 40 years of doing it, we never get into the medical side. That is always a separate issue. And it's from the health officials from the state of Hampshire. If you want 1 deputy, that's fine. Okay, but I don't think you need 2.
Did I hear we just have 3? Used to have 3?
We had 3 deputies. We're recommending that we go down to 2.
Which is Jeff, and I would
Well,
go
we
with
have-
Paul.
We have health. We had, if you want to count the health officer, then you had 4. But if we're talking deputies, we had 3, and we're recommending 2.
How many health officers did you have before?
You had Doug was your health officer. You had
One just turned over.
Inspector Dion, Steve Doobie, and Paul.
Deputy. He was a deputy.
So you had 3 deputies
You had 3 deputies
and the
and the health
officer.
officer.
All
before.
you need is 1 health officer and 1 deputy in a town of this population. You have nothing here, and I'm just saying this, okay? In my profession, as being one of those folks, you don't have that many calls for that. I'm just saying it, okay? That's how I feel about it. I think we only need 1 deputy. And even then, when I was here, we never had a deputy before. There was no need for it. Okay? But I know in the towns that I worked before, we never had a deputy. I'm just saying that, okay? Guys,
Just, it's the reason that we're recommending the 2 deputies is to make sure that, a health officer or the deputy's call of duty is 365 days a year. You just never know when you're going to get the call, what time of the day. But you want to make sure that you have the coverage. And you just never know. Someone's out on vacation, someone's out sick, someone else, between the three people, two could be missing at that time that the call is made. So just,
What's the
having
stipend?
three people trained and qualified, so
What's-
if they can provide the service,
Mhm.
very little cost to the town.
What very little cost are you referring to? I know that the chief is only about, the health office itself is $1,200 a year.
So the health
The
officer,
dep-
I think it's
I think-
$1,500.
$1,500
It went up to
stipend.
50, oh, they got a
The
raise.
deputies do not receive a stipend.
Go to get hourly rate if they go
So
out.
if they come out after hours, they would be paid overtime. If they come out after hours during the day, or if it's a normal time. I mean, Paul Kelly is again, Monday through Friday guy. If he's here, we're not paying anything extra for him.
But Jeff can come in during the weekend because he is the health officer. That's part of his
Correct.
job.
Well, the health officer is always going to be the first responder unless
Correct.
he's unavailable.
It's a short insurance policy to have the third guy.
I don't see the reason for three at all. I'm just saying because the town is so small. That's my opinion.
What's the you don't see but what's the negative of having three?
There's no need to have three at all because if you have three, you're paying somebody to go out. You don't need to
But
pay.
to have that extra trained staff, three individuals ready to respond at any given time. What's the downfall of having that?
What are they responding to?
I don't know. It could be a failed septic system. It could be
You all
bed
get it?
bugs. It could be the inspection of a childcare facility that needs
Which
to
is
open
all
up September
daily.
1st, and no one knew that.
And
Nobody
that's all-
scheduled it. So
No.
these things happen. You have all these licensed childcare facilities need to be inspected.
And they're all done during the week because the state comes down and inspects them too.
Well,
I'm just being the logical one because I worked the trades, okay? I worked it. So that's how I feel about it. I think two is enough. And that's it. And Paul's going to be great because he's here during the week. That's when you get the call. If you got something in the weekend, which I never got calls the weekend as a health officer for years. Okay. I'm just telling you what I've been through. So I'm just being factual. That's all I'm doing. You can take it
I know
from
that when Steve Doobie, he's done some inspections, and so it's actually an advantage to us from what Jeff was telling me, that when we went and inspected some of the daycare or Head Start schools, whatever, that Steve was able to do both inspections, the fire inspection and the health inspection. So we only had one individual going in there and doing that inspection instead of having Jeff go at one time and the fire inspection go at another time. So they had one inspector go in there and take care of all inspections. So if you're going to go down to two, then I think I'd recommend that it be Steve Dubé be the deputy. But I still don't see any harm in having two deputies.
I'm just, Mr. Chair, all I'm doing is explain workload that I've had over my years, and I haven't had a need for three.
I appreciate it. I'm just,
Yeah,
once
that's all
again,
I'm saying.
I'm kind of the same way. It's an insurance policy. If we never utilize it, it doesn't cost us anything. It's just having somebody there in case something happens.
Okay.
But I sit there and say, you probably know the best since you've done the job. But I don't see at this point what the issue is. We had four. Now we're down to three. I think we're going in the right direction that you think we should be in. Run it down for 3 years and see what happens.
Do any of these folks go to training?
They will be going to training, as I understand that there are new standards that has been established. Which
That would be one
are in
reason
effect.
to go with Kevin's recommendation, because, if you have two assistants, you probably have to train them both. They have equal qualifications. And when you're training them, you're paying them an hourly rate. Not that that's a big deal, but you know, to have a double backup doesn't make sense.
Yeah, we in the budget, we carried $200 allowance for 3 inspectors. So $600 a year for the actual, registration fees costs, and then, like you said, you would end up paying an hourly rate. I think in Steve's case, most likely his training, because he's a health officer in the town of Hudson,
He's paid for by Hudson.
he's going to be paid for Hudson. So no matter what, you're going to be looking at the cost of training 2, even though you have 3 or 1, if depending on who you nominate.
Regarding to daycare inspections and all that, that's basically building code and fire code and everything all tied together. The health is make sure you got certain things in there, but it's part of the building code too, for your, facilities you need. Okay.
I don't feel strongly one way or the other.
No, I'm more of an insurance policy. That's it.
So it looks like it's basically a $200 cost to the town
Per inspector.
for the inspectors. Doobies would be paid by Hudson.
Mhm.
And then whatever time they have to go out. How much did we pay the deputies last year, roughly?
But
I think anything
they
was
even
booked
got-
under health.
Yeah.
here's one to think about. If Steve comes in, it's after hours.
Yes.
Okay, so he's paid to do the inspections for the fire department for the health and the fire inspection at the same time.
Mhm.
That's what's going on.
So that's
Okay,
coming out of the fire department budget?
basically, yeah.
I mean, the way I look at it, he'd be the last one we'd probably pull. Because you have Jeff full-time, you got Paul who's full-time. Jeff covers weekends if he's not on vacation, ill, or whatever. So to me, it looks like that, Steve Doobie would be the last one that would probably end up calling.
I mean, Jeff, you remember the town changed the building inspector to
Mhm.
a salary position. So Jeff is going to be your point person. He's salaried and he can come out on a Saturday, Sunday. He can come out at nights. You're not going to pay him any extra money because he's a salary employee. So that was not the way the system was,
When
two
the change
years
was made.
ago, right? We changed it.
Yep.
It wasn't even salary. Back
I had
when
I
Inspector
was fixed
Dion
income.
was there,
Yep.
it was an hourly. So
I
now
was
we've gone
hourly.
back to salary.
So,
The cost here is minimal compared to the benefit I think that the community and the business community gets if they need that service. It's nothing worse than waiting for someone to come and inspect something to get your certificate signed so you get it to the state and you can operate your business. If it's over a couple $100.
And the Litchfield stuff is always done during the week. Always. Nothing during the weekend. Because the state's involved with that as well.
I could go either way, but I think if we are looking to save a couple $100 here or there, we can find a lot of places to save it versus something that it benefits the community, I think.
I'm just telling you.
It is excessive, but I think it's
Okay.
worth it. So,
Oh, you agree with that? It is excessive.
but I
I
think
make a motion, we appoint all 3 of them.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion by Mr. LaSalle, second by Mr. Leary. Do we have any further discussion?
Kim, you're awful quiet.
No, I think if we have turnover or, it's a backup for somebody else, I think for $200, it's good to have. I think good to have, yeah. Sorry, that wasn't discussion part.
That was in discussion.
It was close.
All those in favor, Mr. Leary,
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle,
Aye.
Mr. Lynch?
No, because all my years of experience, we don't need a need for this amount, but you guys feel you do?
A simple no will suffice.
Yes.
I am also yes. Motion carries 4-1-0.
Thanks, Rich.
We gotta get Rich more coffee.
I'm just being practical.
Next item is Pat Jewett, Volunteer Award Coordinator. Mr. Browns.
I want to bring it to the board's attention that Laura Gandier, as we all know, has been the coordinator for since the program
Mhm.
was established. And she put us on notice last year that last year would be her last year. And we're quickly now approaching to the point where in the first of the year, normally we would put the announcement out and start, collecting nominations. And we need to find a coordinator because Laura did a lot of work behind the scenes, so we can get the nomination form, get stuff moving forward. But I'm trying to work with some community members, to talk to Linda Peoples, and she had some ideas of people I could talk to. And so I'm working on that. But, if please feel free to reach out to me and give me, some thoughts, ideas of people I could contact. But I want to make you aware that that position is vacant right now. Be good to get someone to take that on and keep we don't want the program to stop. So
Yeah, definitely.
We'll come up with somebody.
Okay, I'll put some thought into it. If we come up with someone, we'll get back to you.
okay, appreciate it.
Seeing that it is 7:35 p.m., I'd like to open it to public input. Are there any members of the public that would like to provide input this evening? Seeing we have nobody joining us this evening, we'll close public input. We had no other business this evening, so next would be the town administrator report.
Nice.
Mr. Brown.
Make it real quick. I just kind of mentioned this at our last meeting, but I wanted to bring it up again because I think we got distracted. There was some stuff going on, but I wanted to make you aware. I'm in a 2-year program to obtain my certified public administrator.
Is this a 12-step program?
It feels like it. So I'm in I have a project for the last. You promised me you wouldn't do this.
My question would be, why do we have someone who's not certified?
This is above and beyond.
Welcome, Troy M.
So the project that I'm doing, the capstone project, is to do sort of like a handbook that would cover our volunteer committee members. And so really going to do some research on laying out all the boards and committees we have, some background on the warrant articles that created them, the membership, the RSAs that regulate them. So there's a kind of a good summary of what each board and committee does. And then so we can use that as a way to promote, a lot of times citizens come forward and they say, hey, I'd like to do this, but I don't really know anything. And this would give them a good idea of all the boards and committees that we have. It'd be all up there electronic. My thought was also to try to do interviews with the committee chairs and have those links built, into the website. And then have an onboarding program that once they get appointed, we actually have a sort of a training program, get them signed up, with their email addresses, get them to make sure they understand the right to know law and some of the laws that, that they follow depending on what they're on the Conservation Commission, Planning Board, and stuff like that. So that's my project, and it will be due before right around the 1st of June. And I'll be bringing bits and pieces of it to you, as well as probably meeting with some of the other boards and committees over the next few months. It's hopefully going to be designed so that, every year it can just be updated a bit, but it'll be a tool that you can use for many, many years and build upon it too. So,
Best of luck.
yeah. Now I'm like, you look at the calendars, like, the
Yep.
deadline's like,
It goes quick.
it does. And the only last thing I just want to mention, obviously the holidays are quickly approaching. I'm going to be trying to take some time off next week. I know I will be able to get a couple of days. We'll see how it all goes. It might be half days. I don't know. To see. The workload just doesn't stop. But anyhow, my goal is to try to be off next week to the best of my ability.
You're taking a week's vacation, earn time?
I don't know what I'll be taking.
Depends on the workload.
It depends on the workload.
Oh, work.
Right now, it's a half day tomorrow, so I don't know. It's short work week. Had a lot of curveballs in the last week and a half.
Well, hopefully it calms down a little over the next
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Mr. Lynch.
Nope. Nothing to offer.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay.
Conservation has nothing.
Ms. Queen?
You want to do me last or?
Okay, we can go to yours last. I know yours will be
I might be
lengthy.
a little long.
Emergency management team thankfully has not been meeting, which is always a good thing. Recreation Commission, our next meeting is next Tuesday. School Facility Improvement Committee was canceled due to the holiday this past Wednesday. And Capital Improvement Committee is not meeting again until January. Mr. Larry.
Budget Committee meets on January 6th for final voting. And that's about it for them.
Thank you. Mr. LaSalle's.
Nothing to report.
Okay, perfect. Back to Ms. Queen.
Back to me.
How many pages?
Only 2. Well, 3. It's double-sided.
There's a picture on one.
There is a picture. I emailed it to everybody in case the person taking notes wants to see it. They can just attach it to the back. I'm going to go quickly. There's been a lot going on the planning board and NRPC that are significant that I want to bring up to the board and to the public tonight. We'll start with the easier one, the planning board. The next planning board meeting will be held on Tuesday, January 4th here at the town hall. We may be having a special meeting on Tuesday, January 11th. We're not sure if it's going to be at the fire station because there is a collision with another meeting here, but we'll have it posted on the website. That is for a public hearing regarding our zoning amendment changes that may be coming for warrant articles. That'll give us a chance to still have time to turn it around in case there's some changes from the public. In those zoning amendment changes, we are adding some new land uses for some of the commercial districts, probably things that should have been there already, dental offices, kind of thing, services like that. The data warehousing sizing limits for the commercial districts on 3 of them. If you are 75,000 square feet, 75,000 square footage or less, you can build a warehouse in the commercial districts. If you have to go up to 150,000 square feet, which would have been the size of barns, you need a conditional use permit. And we are excluding anything greater than 150,000 square feet, except for where the barns area would have been. Okay, the sidewalk. We did a lot of research on that, and surprisingly, in the master plan chapters, everywhere supported sidewalks. It was for recreation, getting the conservation, the bike path, everywhere. It was there. It's also in our zoning ordinances, and they do mention the Department of Transportation standards in there. It's not going to look like the bike path that you see on Albuquerque. It'll be built as businesses come in the commercial district, and they will, work with engineering or groups to get that in. But it does promote the safety that all your master plan wants. I'm going to give you an example of something. When I was at the National Regional Planning Commission, the town of Milford takes a long time to get onto the 10-year plan to get sidewalks, even to get a grant for them. And sometimes the Board of Selectmen don't put them on the warrant articles, and there's reasons that can or can't happen with budgets. But sometimes they do make it to the warrant article, and the public isn't ready to pay the 20% match. So they go through all of this work to get on the 10-year plan. They get grant money to do it, but then the towns don't come up with the 20%. Here, in our case, we have the businesses will pay for the sidewalks. So we don't have to worry about that from the public of trying to raise money that way. The mixed use, which is we worked on for a while. We didn't do enough research on that. That's where you mix housing and businesses together. That was being explored in the northern commercial industrial section. We are going to wait till next year on that and have some workshops on that still. The reason we tried to, we need more time on it, but the economic development chapter, and granted it was written in 2002, we need to look at that. It did have some formulas in there of how the taxpayers are mostly residential right now, and you did want commercial business here. So that's part of it. We have a build out. It's in one of the chapters of how many lots are still buildable in town in the residential section. It's still a large number. So we'll factor that in, whether we need more housing up in the northern commercial. In its defense of having it, I will just say a lot of homes are now having a home office and having occupancy, for businesses. So that will weigh into it. So we have a lot more work to do on mixed use. So expect things on new uses for commercial districts, the data warehousing, warehousing and distribution center sizes, and sidewalk will probably be coming. Last night's meeting, we had a conceptual design come in, the future of Olson's Mobile Home Park on 3A. This park is located down on Charles Bancroft Highway on 3A, down near Lowell's Tree Farm, I think is in a butter. I believe it's off of Darlene Lane.
Mhm.
All right. The person is a local person. He came in, he's going to clean up the existing 40 mobile home units that are there. They want to add another 59 manufacturing homes behind it. They gave us prototypes, of what the homes would look like. They were very modern. They are good looking. The price point, they averages 3 bedrooms. You can have 2 to 4 bedrooms, 2-car garage. The average price point is under $200,000 because they're manufactured. They're going to approach it from affordable housing and workforce housing. Each home will be on a 1/4-acre lot. So, of course, the number of bedrooms, you're starting to think the impact on the school system. So they quoted something here. I thought he said Russ Tebow's manufacturing of housing park calculation. I couldn't find it online, but his calculations say we're expecting 0.6 children per unit. I don't know if that's true or not, but we'll look at that.
That's the same number they used when they were looking at the size of a new GMS.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm spelling Tebow correctly
No, you
because
are.
they were going
Right.
very quickly.
Yeah, he's used throughout the state.
Yep.
With that type of stuff.
Okay, perfect. So think of 59 home, but that might happen. The good thing about these manufactured homes are you will rent the land, but you will own the home. So you can build equity and it's a good entry point for people who don't want to pay $500,000 for a home. All right, their design will have septic systems and they'll use water from Pennachuck, but we don't have to worry about that. For this to go forward, they're going to need a variance from zoning since it's in the commercial industrial overlay area. What might be coming up again is the conceptual design for the old horse farm, Route 3A Corning Road. It never went away, but if that does come back, it could be about 66 townhomes. So you're looking at 66 townhomes and 59 other homes coming in. Nothing, again, it's all conceptual, but okay. So now, any questions on the planning board before I move on to NRPC? So I'm just trying to give you highlights of that. All right, we've had some significant, 2 of these items are pretty significant. Well, the first item isn't, but the next full commissioner meeting will be held Wednesday, March 16th, 2022, 7 o'clock, Temple Street in Nashua, 30 Temple Street at NRPC's headquarters. Ralph Boehm has joined the NRPC as a commissioner on the planning board. So I really am glad about that because he is also a state rep like Mr. Salas here. So anything he's hearing at these meetings is going back to you real time. And anything that I hear is going back to you and the planning board real time. So it's a really good communication happening. And he came in when he saw the agenda with this item number 2 on our agenda that night, which was a week or 2 ago. He said there is a Housing Bill 1275. And just look at the sections relative to the municipal representation on regional planning commissions. So Nashua Regional Planning Commission is one of many commissions in New Hampshire. We just happen to be that picture of these towns here in our area. We are in the Nashua Regional Planning Commission. We have Pelham, Hudson, Litchfield, Nashua, Merrimack, Amherst, Hollis, Brookline, Milford, Mount Vernon, Leidenborough, Wilton, Mason. Kind of from Pelham, go west on 101 into that area. The way NRPC is today, there are 2 commissioners per town. I'm one of them, and we have Ralph Boehm at the moment, and Michael Croto is the alternate. If your town has more than 10,000 people, you're allowed another commissioner. If you have more than 20,000, you're allowed to set, another one, and so you can have a maximum of 4. What this new bill is going to do, it's going to say there's going to be 1 commissioner for towns that have up to 10,000 people. So Litchfield would go down to 1. There's going to be 2 commissioners allowed for Hudson and Merrimack based on their populations, and there will be 9 for Nashua. So what that means is 9 commissioners will be from Nashua, and the 14 will be from the surrounding towns, of which 2 go to Hudson and 2 in Merrimack. So most towns will have 1 commissioner. So this does shift the balance of NRPC if this goes through. So it's being proposed. So we asked Mr. Mancaro, what do you think is motivating this? And he's really not sure yet. It was sponsored by Nashua and Manchester. I listed senators here, but we're validating if that's true. You can probably see it on the bill, Mr. LaSalle, when you look at this bill.
Yeah. they're both senators.
Yeah. So I think their name's on the bill, but they're looking at that to verify.
Yeah, this
Um,
will not pass.
Okay. We didn't know if it'd be a transportation project driven of why the shift was being proposed. Usually Litchfield and all of these towns, we usually are unanimous voting on transportation projects. We've never had contention with Nashua because the region's best interest is our best interest as well. So we're not sure. So where we are with this is Mr. Mankar will be meeting with key sponsors of this bill to discuss it, believe in the next couple of weeks. It's just the last bullet for us as we've worked years on these relationships and to get these procedures in place. And it's just a shame if it, falls apart.
I have
But
a
maybe this is-
conspiracy theory.
Okay.
Think rail.
I'm thinking that
Yeah,
too.
I think so.
Yeah,
But again, that's still supported. Everybody unanimously wanted that.
it's there.
Yeah, I mean, there would be no fight about that, but, all right, there's the second one, item 3, that I think is significant. I thought I saw it in one of Troy's emails with, when we spoke about what, was it Greg Wheeler had sent out the list of the projects or something? I thought I read like the last one was something about the am I saying right, circumferential highway. But when I went to NRPC's meeting a week or two ago, that Hudson has removed that project from the 10-year plan. It's gone. So as far as Litchfield is concerned, it's in the column. It's never going to happen on the plan. But Hudson actually removed it from the plan. So we asked the next question. So the Litchfield commissioners, we went up and asked, can Litchfield get the land back? Since Hudson was given their land back.
Really?
Yes. So Jay Mankar, I asked him last night at the planning board, what should we do? Well,
I've never heard that.
there's another story with the background story with that, but that's what I'm hearing. But anyway, Jay suggested at this board tonight that just to let you know, maybe we should start a workshop to get started to look at that circumferential highway land, find out who owns it, if it's the state Department of Transportation or the town, and maybe our tax software can help there. I don't know.
Leave the state board, everything through. there.
Okay. He said, find out if there are any right-of-ways and or restrictions on the land relating to this highway project. So it could have something that there is a restriction if this project went forward, that's going to take research. So then the next question will be on the last page.
Oh, we did?
If you do get it back, what do you do with it? And that's another question, but after rereading all of these master plan chapters for all the commercial districts and just in general, that was developed around the 2002 timeframe. It was all passed by the voters. And all of our master plan chapters are based on that circumferential highway
That's
there, our
correct.
economic and development chapter, transportation.
Here.
So this is
Land
if
use,
that is
everything.
removed,
Land use too.
what do we do? Yeah, exactly. So it's not an easy thing, but at least start inquiring, if you want it. It's, we'll have discussions about that. At least get it into your heads now. We'll start, thinking how we want to do that. So that is a cornerstone. I did look at the people who signed off it in 2002, and many are still here. Many of them are still active. I don't know if they want to go through that again. It's probably a life experience to go through that once, but their model has served this town wonderfully for 20 years. Keeping the businesses on both sides and keeping the residentials in the middle. So you may want to keep, so if the land does become available, what do you do? So, or what do you want to do with that? That's the second question. They always do a round table. I just gave you the highlights. Merrimack, if you saw this on the paper, they had a cancer study that was done and showed higher renal and kidney cancers, may be tied to PAFS, don't know. They just suggested maybe surrounding towns want to look at it. Ralph Bohm said he asked committees to do a study regionally anyway, not just focus on Merrimack. Merrimack also said on Route 3A around the river, their river, excuse me, on their other side of Route 3A, there's a lot of building going on over there. There was a lot of waivers in their commercial district to put up homes, and you can see the apartments all. And he says this is the fruition of all the past approvals that have happened in the past couple of years. So he has to drive it, and it does have a different feel. Hudson says there was a big boom in home occupations. NRPC, our region here, our 13 towns, has the highest number of them in our region for the state. Pelham did an assessment of their town, and they're up 30% since last year, whatever the value of how they did their town. They said the average single home there is $540,000. Wilton assessed value for the town went up 40% in 1 year. And Bedford assessed value went up $1 billion. What they have a lot with commercial and home. I'll end it with Milford. The large number of solar projects are going on or exceeding their zoning limits. So people are getting variances, or she's calling them workarounds. But it is interesting with price of energy that maybe that. There was a good note. Unfortunately, we had that tornado that took out a candle factory out in the Midwest, 2 weeks ago, and some fatalities. There's a company, I think it's called Arlene Candle.
Milford.
It's in Milford. They donated $25,000 to the families and the victims for that demolished candle company. They also match 100% employee donations. And you have to remember, they're a competitor of this company, and they still wrote
That's a nice gesture.
wrote
Yeah.
the checks.
Really nice.
That family is very, very good. They've been there in Milford. They started there. They've always been community activated, community on everything.
So just, just to recap, if you can give this to the gentleman that's doing the notes, or just have them attached to the back, save him time. So from
I'll give
planning
it to
board,
Forward
we
them
have
the email.
a lot of homes that could be coming in, and for MNRPC, we have a shift in the balance potentially. And what do you want to do with that circumferential highway? At least have to have a discussion if
That's a
you,
big deal.
It is, but I believe they bought the land.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
the
pretty sure
state
they
owns
did.
it.
Yeah, because they tore down buildings.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think DOT owns some, and I think the state does some. You might not even find deeds that they kind of, it's
No,
it's
they
like
took it.
Olson's, where they had Olson's, we had maps that were different from what he really owned, because the state had an agreement to
Correct.
take some of it if it ever came through.
Right.
And what is an agreement? It's not
Yeah.
a
And
deed. They
those
never
people are now
took it.
passed away.
Yeah.
and they may not want to sell. We don't know till we have
But
a discussion.
I can look up a lot of them
Yeah.
by deed and see if it is DOT or if it is state of New
And
Hampshire.
sometimes
Some of them
as-
they did.
if the state, or DOT acquired the land, if federal funds were used, sometimes the funds that were used to acquire the land will have restrictions on them.
Correct.
If you're no longer going to use the land for the purpose that you use the federal funds for, they can't just give the land back to the
Right.
town. You
That's what
need
I
to
mean. It's a big,
It's be
Process.
bought and given back to the federal government. We learned that with our little bridge down there at Parker Park.
$17,000. What a pain that is.
When are they going to finish that highway?
Sounds
like they're not.
It's
sounds like
nothing
they're
but
not.
Hudson already removed it.
I was being facetious.
Oh, okay.
Question is, how can Hudson remove it when somebody buys the land to do it?
That's, I mean, does
There's
you
a lot
want
of
to
gray
buy it?
area
Do
in
they,
that
does
question.
they want to give it back to us? I don't.
Kim, is it public information who's developing the former mobile home park?
Yeah, our portal wasn't quite working yesterday. It is a local person. It's,
DLB?
Hmm?
Dana. And
Could
his
be.
son- his
The son,
his
yeah.
son.
and they said
Who?
the grandmother lived in the house out front.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She's
no, he was highly motivated.
Oh,
Uh,
it's,
Dana's son, yeah.
Yeah.
oh, Dana's son.
Yeah.
Okay, what's his name?
Oh, I have it on one of my notes. I thought I heard Jeremiah.
You got
I
it.
think so,
You are
yeah.
right. It is Jeremiah.
We only had our agenda last night. We didn't have all the, the backup. Yeah. But he's very, you're all right. He's doing it the right way, and
He's been
definitely
doing,
community driven, and he's taking a risk from what
He
he's
is.
saying financially. He won't get a reward for this for
he's
years.
been doing
He's
this.
upgrading the electrical.
Jeremiah's been doing it all. He's been doing this all over the place where he works. He's from out west, and he's been buying stuff like this and doing stuff all over the place.
I think this is a good solution for the housing situation. I mean, many of us have children who would love to live in Litchfield. Not everybody can live in a compound.
When I first got married, I lived at Olson's Park for 2 years. It was the best thing I ever did financially. I even replaced the unit that I had because the old one, I spent more time underneath it in the winter. Okay, and I sold it, and it worked out well for me and my wife. And I bought a house in town that I could afford. It worked out good.
I mean, we have these over 55 communities.
Right.
Why couldn't we have under 35 communities like that? which is similar to what's being proposed here.
Mm.
Okay, so it's manufactured housing. You know, I'm wondering if he can make his 200,000. That might be kind of hard.
I guess, just what I looked at quickly, manufactured homes cost 35% less, just the material alone.
Correct.
Yeah.
There's no foundations. It's all like that. It all goes in, it comes out. It could be a double wide, a single wide, carports or garages that are on slabs at the small. Your construction cost is a lot less. If you got good soils, that place has good soils.
Was Charlie's house, was that a manufactured housing?
No,
Wasn't?
he built it.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Stick built.
Stick built that one there.
No, I'm in favor of this sort of thing. I think it's good.
Okay, so our next meeting is Monday, January 10th.
Who's coming?
We do have one more item this evening. It is a non-public session under RSA 91A:3 2A, employee dismissal, promotion, compensation, discipline, or investigation.
So what is it?
That's a lot.
Do we have a motion to go into non-public
Or
session?
RSA.
I'll make the motion.
We have a motion by Ms. Queenan. Roll call, Mr. Lynch,
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am an aye.
Did you get a second?
No.
No.
I second it.
Thanks.
Leave it to him.
The board is now entering a non-public session. While we do not anticipate the need to return to the public session following the non-public for any reason other than to adjourn the meeting, we reserve the right to do so if a non-public session necessitates the board taking action in a public session. The board is now in non-public. Thank you for tuning in. We wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Holiday, and a safe and prosperous New Year.
Enjoy.
Merry Christmas.